Death Shadow versus Devoted Devastation. John Holland versus Matt Clutter. Looks like the players have their hands ready. Sending word down to them now that they may begin. Both players kept 7 to start. Always like to see that when we head to our top 8. John Holland going to do Grixis Death Shadow stuff. Cycles a Street Wraith, pops a Mishra's Bauble.
Yeah, we've said it all day. The Grixis Death Shadow deck is just so efficient. It looks at so many cards for no mana.
Not a bad spot to be in.
And to me, this is a very dangerous keep for Matt in this type of matchup where you need to get onto the board quick. I feel like no 1-drop is not what you want to be doing.
I think I disagree with you here, Craig. I just don't think the likelihood of exploding onto the battlefield and just comboing out of nowhere is very high. There's so much removal in Grixis Death Shadow. I think you are actually going to play a grindier game, and here you see it in Matt's hands, some grindier elements. You're looking at something like Duskwatch Recruiter, which can replace itself, Eladamri's Call, which can find key pieces, Ranger Captain of Eos, which can find another 1-drop. I like this keep, even though it doesn't have the 1-drop accelerant.
So the counter to that, I think, is that John, if he's able to get a threat on the board here, he's already pressuring you, and he doesn't have to use his removal on that early 1-drop, which means that he has it for later in the game.
Look, you're not wrong, but you're playing behind the 8-ball as Devoted Devastation against this Grixis Death Shadow deck. And I just think the games you win are the ones where you kind of run them out of resources and you get lucky, especially when it comes to game 1. Maybe game 2 you can make some reconfigurations, but just powering out a quick combo here, I don't think it's going to hold, especially where you know John Holland has kept his 7.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's going to power out a quick combo. I'm saying in order to run him out of resources, you need to start doing that on turn 1.
Okay. Okay, fair point. Let's see how it plays out here. Devoted Druid going to be the take with that Thoughtseize. And now Matt Clutter going to go ahead, play untap Shockland on turn 2. Duskwatch Recruiter is the play. Turn passes back to John Holland. Talked a lot about APT, actions per turn, today. Very high actions per turn for Grixis Death Shadow, very mana efficient. Devoted Devastation, I'd actually say is on the other side of the equation. It's very, very low actions per turn until it's not, until it's all the actions and you just win the game on the spot.
Yeah, but yeah, until it gets to that point, it's really just deploying 1, sometimes 2 cards a turn.
Yeah, and that seems quaint in Modern.
It is a funny juxtaposition compared to some of the other decks we've seen all day.
It really is. John Holland going to fall to 8 here. Continues to damage himself. And here is Gurmag Angler. Going to send the turn back to Matt Clutter. Going to play Teferi Time Raveler.
Oh, that one's huge.
That's a nice one, but John Holland
that is
ready.
So important.
Stubborn Denial.
Yeah, I mean, if that Teferi resolves, it's going to bounce the Angler. John's not going to be able to redeploy the Angler next turn. No pressure on the board. The Stubborn Denial is so important there.
Yeah.
And I actually like... See, this is what I'm talking about. I like John's spot here. He can just easily ignore the 1/2/2 that's on the board. He's got pressure. He's got a few removal spells in his hand, and he's just going to be able to close out this game by only having to kill 1 or 2 key creatures.
Yeah, here's Fatal Push. Duskwatch Recruiter going to bite it. Plays another land. Stubborn Denial, Teamer Battle Rage at the ready. The Teamer Battle Rage not lethal quite yet, but a little Fetch Shock action might make it so. Let's see if Clutter stays at 11 here. Going to shortcut a little bit here. Ranger Captain of Eos going to get Giver of Runes and a Plane. So staying at 11, deploys Giver of Runes. Turn heads back to John Holland. Draws a card.
I almost wish John had hung on to the Fatal Push there. You know, knowing that there's the Ranger Captain on the other side.
Yeah.
the possibility of just getting jammed up real bad was very high.
You can make a case for it.
But on the flip side, he didn't want that creature to transform and just really open up Matt's hand with a bunch of much cheaper plays.
So Angler going to drop Clutter down to 6. John Holland with Teamer Battle Rage at the ready. Going to be very hard to find good blocks here for Matt Clutter.
Yeah, if the idea is I'm just going to hide behind this Giver of Runes, you know, block with one creature, give it protection from black, that's not going to work out.
Here's Finale of Devastation for 2, but Stubborn Denial in response from John Holland.
And I think this game's over.
Yeah, that might just seal the deal here. Gonna play a fetch land, pass the turn, back to John. John has Teamer Battle Rage in hand. Also knows Matt's deck list. He's gonna figure out this one's just safe. Did a quick check of Giver of Runes, seeing if it could target that Gurmag Angler, maybe. It can't.
Oh, he's got to dismember for it. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, dismembering out.
John had everything.
That Giver.
And you know, in a game of resources, John's going to win this game.
Here comes Gurmag Angler. Here
with
comes
Matt
Teamer
still having
Battle
cards
Rage
in his hand.
Yeah, and I think this is going to go ahead and elicit the scoop from Matt Clutter and John Holland up a game in our top 8. 1-0. Play out about how you expect, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, John was able to play multiple spells in turns. He was able to get a threat on the board for cheap and protect it in the same turn. And then just, you know, navigate with his removal spells, clean something up here, clean something up there, close out the game.
Oh my God, look at this sideboard for John Holland. Let's talk about these cards, and you let me know if they're any good against Devoted Devastation. 3 Collective Brutality, 2 Colligan Command, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Engineered Explosive, 2 Plague Engineer, 2 Damping Sphere, 1 The Royal Scions, and 1 Mystical Dispute. Craig, are there any cards you happen to like here?
So yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of really strong options. I would actually be reluctant to get too carried away here.
Okay.
Plague Engineer, just spectacular. Those have to come in. I really like the Engineered Explosives. What Matt tries to do almost always rotates around 2-mana creatures. So I love that. And then I want some number of Collective Brutality Colgan's commands. The ability to kill a creature and duress one of the tutor effects out of the opponent's hand is just so valuable. But I don't want too many of these effects because I still want to be able to get a threat onto the board and start attacking right away.
Do you think one is better than the other? I think I would max Collective Brutality before I started dipping into Colligan's Command.
Sure. A lot of the other abilities on Colgan's Command aren't that great. Rebuying a creature, not real big in this situation. Blowing up an artifact, who cares about that? So, and even getting your opponent to discard a card of their choice is not super effective in this matchup. So, yeah, I agree with you. The Collective Brutality is a little juicier of a card.
Meanwhile, we can head over to Matt Clutter's sideboard. We are looking at 3 Veil of Summer, 2 Path to Exile, 2 Unified Will, 2 Oko, Thief of Crowns, a couple more in the sideboard there, 1 Gaddock Teague, a Collector Oof, an Aven Mind Sensor, Vivian Champion of the Wilds, Linvala, Keeper of Silence, and Burrington Forge Tender. Craig, what are you doing over on Matt's side?
So Matt can make this very interesting transition into almost a more controlling deck where he says, hey, if I can just control your big fatties, if they can't kill me, then eventually my just swarm of creatures is going to be enough to win this game. So that being said, I think the Path to Exiles come in. I like the 2 Okos a lot in this matchup. I can see the Vivian Champion of Wilds come in as just a recursive card advantage. And then the Veil of Summer just seems so strong against what the Grixis Death Shadow deck is doing. Yeah,
Veil of Summer, an absolute slam dunk for me here. Shutting down Thoughtseize, shutting down all the removal. Probably the absolute best card in the matchup.
And if you're Matt Clutter, you're saying a lot of my slower cards aren't great in this matchup anyway. So I can see him cutting a whole bunch of these Finale of Devastations, maybe shaving a few Aladdin calls and saying, listen, I'm going to be more of a Planeswalker control deck. You have trouble combating these Planeswalkers once they hit the board, so I'm going that route.
I like that approach. That sounds good to me. Also weaken those Collective Brutalities a bit. try and make that second mode miss if you're going after the Finales of Devastation or Eladamri's Call on John Holland's side. Well, Craig, we are approaching the end of our shift here at SCG Atlanta, and you know how I always wrap up my shifts on the SCG Tour. I go by Magic cards.
You really do. This is not a lie.
To the non-English sale at go.starcitygames.com/sale. I buy all the foreign Mirari's Wake, foreign Skull Clamps, foil Ishikron Scepters, and of course foil Harmonic Slivers. Have to have those in my collection.
See, you started off being fairly truthful there, but...
Well, I mean, I really would buy these cards if I didn't already have them. That's the problem. Like, I know I have all these cards, so it's just not an issue.
Brian, you need a group.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, I do.
A support group that helps you through this problem.
Just got to stop buying so many Magic cards. They're so nice, though. I just like them. I like them, Craig. Sometimes I just look at my Magic cards. Not even with any purpose. I'm just like, oh, look at these Magic cards.
Well, and with the recent set, they hooked you in even deeper.
Right.
With the borderless foils.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
they
gorgeous.
Know they have a whale on the hook right now.
Oh, for sure.
Got to farm this guy.
The showcase cards?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep, got all those. Bought them all.
Oh.
Cracking those collector boosters left and right. $30 for a booster pack of brand new cards. Totally reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, you and Jerry love that stuff.
It's good stuff, man.
Can't get enough.
A lot of beautiful, beautiful cards in that set. And I'm running hot, too. I've opened 3, so I've been more restrained than you might expect, Craig.
3 packs.
3 collector's boosters, yes.
Okay.
2 of my full art cards. One was a foil full art Once Upon a Time. One was a foil full art Royal Scions.
Those are 2 big hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real big hits. Meanwhile, back in the real world where people do reasonable things, we're looking at Once Upon a Time finding a Devoted Druid, and here's your 1-drop accelerant from Matt Clutter. It's Birds of Paradise. Both players keeping 7 again.
Yeah, I like getting onto the board with a 1-drop.
Misty Rainforest here from John Holland. Going to go searching for a land. Watery Grave untapped. Well, I would assume a Thoughtseize is coming. I don't think Matt Clutter's just sharing this information for free.
Yeah, I think John had the option of a Thoughtseize or an Inquisition.
Oh, it is going to be Inquisition.
You generally lead with the Inquisition. Your opponent can only play 3 drops on their next turn anyway.
Yep. Devoted Druid, Path to Exile, Finale of Devastation for Matt Clutter. Going to get that Devoted Druid out of hand. This deck does not go fast. It is a quote-unquote combo deck.
Come on,
Matt. It takes
Matt.
its time.
Show me a Planeswalker.
It really takes its time. I would love to find one of these Planeswalkers here. Not going to happen, though. Turn heads back to John Holland. Now it's time for Thoughtseize. Looks like the update was a land, and this hand is getting real light on good Magic cards now.
And John just told us a whole lot about his hand.
Yep.
By taking the Path to Exile. I was expecting it to be the Finale of Devastation
just
there.
Protecting the threat now. Assume we're going to go get untapped Shockland here.
Deploy our 1/1.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's looking like. Not quite enough cards in the graveyard for a Gurmag Angler yet. And no Thoughtseize time. Just take everything away from Matt. Give him nothing.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
No, it is going to be Death Shadow. 1/1 Death Shadow on the battlefield. Says, what's the worst Matt can do here?
Well, and here's the big decision for Matt. Okay, it looks like he's going to Finale for 2 right here, depending on what he drew. You really want to wait the extra turn. You want to cast Finale and search up a Ranger Captain and get a whole nother card out of it that way.
Right.
But
how about you just draw the Ranger Captain?
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. Because
there's Giver of Runes, too.
Yeah, if you wait on the Finale, you're kind of just asking to walk right into the teeth of a stubborn denial.
Absolutely.
But having just the natural Ranger captain, I think, is just so important.
Might have been the best draw in the deck at that moment. Maybe you can make a case for something like a Teferi, but Ranger captain certainly strong.
Oh,
big draw there from John.
Yeah, it really is.
Teamer Battle Rage. Looks like he has a Steam Vents in hand. Going to start, though, with a Thoughtseize. No, Thought Scour. Targets himself. A couple cards enter the bin. Draws one. Fetch land. Can fall to 7 now. 5 after casting that Thoughtseize if he so chooses. Meaning you have an 8/8 Death Shadow.
So close.
Very, very close. Death Shadow now a 6/6. 1 mana 6/6, totally fine. That's the fair deck in Modern, if you're keeping track, Craig. 1 mana 5/5s and 1 mana 6/6s.
And we called this the mid-range deck in the format.
Yeah, this is the fair stuff we get up to these days.
Ooh, John's wondering how he wants to tap here. I think it's...
Attack first. Interesting. Just going to get through that 6 damage.
Yeah, you got to leave the blue up. You don't want to just lose to a top deck Path to Exile or Teferi.
Yeah, and here is Thoughtseize. Going to go ahead and take that finale. Just a sad Hollowed Fountain in hand for Matt. Takes a draw. Finds something nice. Plays tapped Hallowed Fountain, Noble Hierarch. I've seen nicer. Is going to be able to attack John down to 1.
And John has it. Again, the Teamer Battle Rage to just clean up the game.
Yeah, this is a wrap. John knows it's safe. Going to go ahead, draw his card. You see John getting excited here.
Do you have more than 12 points of toughness on your side?
Don't make him suffer, John. Just tell him. Just tell him. It's all over.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. You did what you could, but you ran into a nightmare matchup.
Johnny's hellbent.
Still a good show. And here is the Teamer Battle Rage from John Holland. And that is going to get the handshake from Matt Clutter. And John Holland is our first semifinalist.